And Tony Sycamore, market analyst at IG, joins us for more now. So, Tony, Bitcoin breaching that much anticipated 100K mark, but it's pulled back, I think, rather significantly now, 96, 97K. So, not really seeing that kind of follow through buying. And also, interestingly, stocks associated with Bitcoin, like MicroStrategy, Coinbase, those fell. And so, what is the price movement here telling you? Is there a cap to this rally?
Well, I think we need to think about it in the context of the fact that Bitcoin has had a very strong rally for the past month, really since the US election, which was a month ago. It's been like a party, Liz, in terms of, Bitcoin, the crypto industry, the whole ecosystem has been very, very bullishly and supporting the rise in prices. But I guess like after any sort of big party, you need to have a little bit of a time out here. And I think what we saw yesterday was the culmination of that in terms of it pushing above that 100,000 level. Obviously, that was a milestone which had a lot of eyes on it. There was a lot of buzz, but there was no follow through buying, which was quite interesting. And what that has since created is signs of exhaustion in a classic technical sense, as well as some bearish divergence, which for us as traders are excellent indicators of short-term highs. And you can see since then we've seen Bitcoin fall back to around 92,000, which is a 10% drop since yesterday's high water mark. And we're settling now around 97,000. And when I look at what we've seen, the price action over the past 24 hours, Liz, it really has the hallmarks of a classic blow-off type top. We get a lot of questions. How do we know when this trend's going to finish? How do we know when this run in Bitcoin is over? And I don't think it signals a reversal low. I just think we've seen enough for now, and I suspect we're going to see some consolidation in the days, weeks ahead for Bitcoin. In terms of what we're seeing in some of those crypto-related stocks, which you mentioned, well, Coinbase has been finding selling up there around $330 to $350 for the past, for the past few weeks since the US election. And last night was no different. It tried to get up around $350, but it did close lower. So potentially we're seeing some sort of selling in those proxies for Bitcoin. To me, it does look like when you look at the price action in a stock like Coinbase, there is somebody selling it up there. And I suspect there was somebody up there in Bitcoin yesterday waiting to bang it on their head. And as I said, we fell 10% from those highs.
Right. And I guess the question is, also what you mentioned, right? How do we know whether this trend is going to finish and whether there are more events that could help it rise further? I think one of the things that we're looking out for is when and if Trump's nominee for the SEC commissioner, Paul Atkins, if that goes through, that could be an event, I suppose, that could help Bitcoin rally further. Talk to us about Paul Atkins. He's seen as more pro-crypto than the current head. What could his approach be? Is he likely to undo what Gary Gensler has done? And what does this really spell for the whole crypto industry?
That's right. So Donald Trump's appointment of the pro-crypto Paul Atkins to lead the SEC was really a breath of fresh air. It's in line with his policies stated in the lead up to the election. He is seen as crypto friendly, and that is quite sharply in contrast to Gary Gensler. I think there's a wave of relief that there is a new head coming in. And at this point of time, we don't have a lot of details on what his policies will be, other than we suspect he'll probably continue to deregulate some of those more onerous regulations which Gary Gensler put in place. And when we start to look about what potentially that national Bitcoin reserve is something that he'll be looking to see how that could actually play out, how it could work. But I think by and large, he's just going to bring a more friendly environment to the crypto space. And at this point of time, as we said, details are rather light, but I think it has been taken as a very big breath of fresh air by the whole industry.
Right. And also whether, these developments have sort of lend Bitcoin or rather help it find that institutional legitimacy, and how should investors be viewing Bitcoin? I think it got a further boost to, its legitimacy after Jerome Powell kind of compared it to gold, saying it's a competitor for gold, and whether you think, his latest comments, could pave the way for one day Bitcoin actually being able to replace gold.
Well, it's a good question, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. Powell's comments certainly bring some added credibility to the crypto and Bitcoin. And that's something which we haven't heard the Fed talk about. So for him to actually make the comparison about Bitcoin as opposed to fiat and gold, he said that he saw Bitcoin being more a competitor to gold. I suspect we're going to see more and more of that with people switching out of gold and into crypto. But I don't think we're ever going to see gold completely eliminated from off the radar. It still remains one of the most tried and tested stores of value through risk, through crises and wars and things like that. So it's always going to be, for me, a spot to have or something to have in your portfolio. And you look at when people talk about Bitcoin, they talk about its ability to be a safe haven. And I guess when you really dial it all back down, you still need to have some, we talk about some of the more obscure electromagnetic attacks we're seeing in warfare now and that type of thing. Whereas gold, you don't need to worry about having that connection in terms of being able to get on the internet, being able to access your wallet. Gold is something which you can keep under your bed. So I don't see it being completely replaced, but certainly I think you're going to see more and more flows into Bitcoin.
All right, Tony, appreciate your time. Tony Sycamore there, market analyst at IG.